Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Meha Bhardwaj-Alter and this is Game On, where you get your daily dose of all things sports. Let's begin with IPL 2024. And you can mark your calendar because the dates are out. The much anticipated Indian Premier League is set to begin on March 22nd and will be held entirely in the country despite the coinciding general elections. League chairman Arun Dhumal told PTI on Tuesday. The elections are expected to be held in April and May, and that is the main reason why the schedule for the IPL's 17th edition has not been unveiled yet. Speaking to PTI, Dhumal said to begin with, only the schedule of the first 15 days will be announced, and the roster for the remaining games will be decided after the announcement of the general election dates. The dates of the Lok Sabha polls are expected to be announced early next month. Arun Dhumal said, and I quote, "We are looking at a March 22nd start for the tournament. We are working closely with the government agencies and we will first release the initial schedule. The entire tournament will be held in India." In 2009, the IPL in its entirety was held overseas in South Africa, while the 2014 edition was partially held in the UAE due to the general elections. However, in 2019, the tournament was held in India despite the elections. Considering the T20 World Cup begins within days of IPL's conclusion, the final is likely to be held on 26th of May. India will play their opening World Cup fixture against Ireland in New York on 5th of June, while the ICC showpiece begins with the USA-Canada clash on 1st of June. As is the norm, the IPL opener will be played between the last year's finalists, the winners, Chennai Super Kings in this case, and runners-up, Gujarat Titans. The players' auction for the 2024 season was held in December last year, and Australian pacer Mitchell Starc became the most expensive player in the history of the league after being bought by Kolkata Knight Riders for 24.75 crore rupees. Indian batter Sarfaraz Khan's story is remarkable. After waiting 5 years for India cap, Sarfaraz finally got a chance, and he wasn't going to let that go. He had a memorable debut during the third test against England, becoming only the fourth Indian to score twin half centuries in their first test. Now, while the world is singing his praises, it's important to look at his journey along with his Abbu, Naushad Ahmed.
Just 2 innings into international cricket, Sarfaraz Khan has announced his arrival in emphatic manners. His debut was a long-awaited one, indeed, but cricket fans did not have to wait for long to see the masterclass that made Sarfaraz Khan stand out. His first innings in international cricket was cut short of someone else's mistake. In the second, he did not make any. Mumbai cricket has been a lot about stories and characters, records and icons, from Maidans and clubs to the highest echelons of the world cricket, Sunil Gavaskars and Sachin Tendulkars. While the drama of Yashasvi Jaiswal, from have-nots to the man possessed, is still unfolding, a new feature Sarfaraz Khan screened in Rajkot over the last week during the India-England third test. The career journey of 2 young men from Mumbai are studies in sharp contrast. One who had to battle it out all alone to keep his cricket going, to the other who had to endure numerous rejections and an ongoing wait, stand tests of time despite having all the cricketing resources at his disposal and exploiting the resources in the best possible manner. Jaiswal's tales about staying in club tent, sleeping in the open, to at times skipping a meal or two are legend now. What Sarfaraz had to go through for 15 years ever since emerging as a rare talent at the age of just 12 years till his India debut at 26 is no less inspiring. Unlike Jaiswal, the Khan from Mumbai did not have to bother about means and facilities to play cricket. Under tutelage of his cricket coach father Naushad Khan, Sarfaraz survived tests of time to shine bright. At 12, Sarfaraz has eclipsed Sachin Tendulkar's record, scoring 439 runs in a Harris Shield match. Sachin had scored 346 as a 15-year-old. Soon after, he was suspended for age fraud, but came clean in a later bone test to determine the age. He had been phenomenal in age group cricket, but unlike an early recognition to Sachin Tendulkar, his wait for an India cap has been long, and long. 9 years of first-class cricket, 14 centuries and a triple century. A 70-plus average with the bat. Nothing could please national selectors, but Sarfaraz kept going. His time finally came when Virat Kohli had opted out of the series against England. KL Rahul was ruled out with injury. Shreyas Iyer was struggling with form, and the one stride before him failed to deliver. And then came the moment, and came the man. On his debut, Sarfaraz handled England's pace and spin like a seasoned pro. The masterclass of the debutant was the outcome of hitting over 500 deliveries every day. The effort and endurance finally got the desired results as Sarfaraz tackled the pace and spin with command at Rajkot.
Okay, now opinions continue to be divided when it comes to baseball and whether it's working or not, because after England's abject embarrassment in Rajkot Test, a majority of British media and fans have come down hard on Ben Stokes' team. And from Joe Root's bizarre attempt to reverse paddle Jasprit Bumrah for 6, which one veteran British cricket journalist labelled the worst shot in the history of English Test cricket, to Johnny Bairstow's poor run of form in India, to muddled selections and Ben Duckett's comment that it looks as if India are copying baseball when it comes to batting. The sudden impression being given is that baseball has stopped working and that this England team are living in a bubble. As former skipper Michael Vaughan put it, so surprised was England's all-time leading run-getter Sir Alistair Cook that after the third test, he said you'd have won quite a lot of money if you'd have said at the end of day 2 that England would lose this game by 434 runs following the 434-run loss in Rajkot. Stokes came out and said the following thing: everyone has an opinion or a perception of things, but the people in dressing room really matter to us. We are 2-1 down and have a chance to win 3-2. We leave this game behind us. So, is this a false sense of bravado? Is this stubbornness? Can English cricket fans still have reason to feel optimistic with 2 test matches to go against India? Well, time will tell, but in a short span of time, the team management has a few tough calls to make. At the top of the list is Bairstow's form. The veteran of 98 test matches, he has an average of 17 in the series, and his duck in the first innings in Rajkot was a record 8th by a batter against India in tests. Cook believes it is time for England to drop Bairstow, but head coach Brendan McCullum has put his weight behind the player. Second, what will England do with James Anderson? The 41-year-old has played back-to-back test matches and was dismantled by Yashasvi Jaiswal twice in Rajkot. So there is reason to believe that Anderson will get benched for someone like Ollie Robinson, who has looked good in the nets and offers a better batting prospect down the order. But more than making changes to the 11, the biggest question perhaps that England face before Ranchi is whether baseball has come too far to change itself in a very tough situation. Former Australian captain Ian Chappell didn't mince his words when expressing his skepticism towards Joe Root adopting baseball. Joe Root was dismissed attempting a reverse scoop against Jasprit Bumrah during the third test against India in Rajkot, which triggered a collapse for England in the first innings. England seemed in control at 224 for 2 when Root attempted the reverse sweep, only to get caught in the slip by Yashasvi Jaiswal. Root's departure saw England losing their final 8 wickets with just 95 runs, ultimately conceding a 126-run lead after being bowled out for 390. Chappell, speaking to Worldwide of Sports, criticized Root's decision to incorporate premeditated shots into his game, especially considering his prior success playing in his natural way. He said, and I quote, "Root had a bloody fine record playing normally, and he was a quick scorer playing normally. I don't see why he's trying to change things drastically, and I've never believed you should play premeditated shots." Despite Root's recent struggles, it's worth noting that he has maintained an average of over 50, slightly above his overall average of 49.32. Since Brendan McCullum, along with captain Ben Stokes, introduced baseball to the English team, his average has been good. It has been 50. However, Root's performance in the ongoing series against India has been disappointing. He's managed 77 at an average of less than 13. And with England trailing the 5-match series 1-2 after consecutive losses in Visakhapatnam and in Rajkot, Root's experimentation with this baseball approach has come under increased scrutiny. Chappell also underlined the importance of playing according to the conditions, and the bowlers saying there has to be balance between aggressive approach and being aware of the match situation. He said, and I quote, "You can't always do it. It's got to be according to the conditions and also who's bowling. Some bowlers you can score off a lot quicker than others, but when a really good bowler is bowling a good spell, you've got to be prepared to try and battle it out and think to yourself, well, when he goes off, it'll get a bit easier. You're always trying to score runs. That's got to be your prime aim, but you've also got to realize some conditions. Against some bowlers, you can score quicker than others." England captain Ben Stokes is considering to start bowling before the 4th test starts in Ranchi from Friday. Stokes has not bowled in competitive cricket since June this year. He bowled last year, in fact. He bowled in the nets before the 2nd test at Visakhapatnam. In Rajkot, Stokes bowled more intensely during England's training sessions. He had been bowling at full pace in the run-up to the 3rd test last week, but did not bowl during the match. He felt that he could have bowled during the match, which was won by India within 4 days to go, and they're now 2-1 up in the series. He said, and I quote, "I managed to bowl at 100% in one of the warm-up days here, which made me feel pretty good. I felt like I could have bowled in the game, but that would have been stupid." Stokes said this after the match in Rajkot. He went on to add that, "Me being me, I'm always very optimistic about most things. That'll be a more detailed chat with the medical team about what workload I have done to pass me off as not being a massive risk." England's head coach Brendan McCullum, he was upbeat about Stokes' confidence. He, however, felt that Stokes would not do anything drastic. McCullum also said that as the coach, he had a duty to ensure that his captain did not push himself unnecessarily. He said, and I quote, "Well, it's good that he's actually getting into a state where he thinks he might bowl. But Ben is clever, he's really clever, and he won't bowl unless he thinks he's legitimately able to bowl. The problem would be if he starts getting into a spell and then he can't get out of the spell. So we'll see what unfolds. If he does get that bit between his teeth, then let's see where the danger lies there and try and pull him away from it, but it's a good sign." With the return of Stokes, the all-rounder would dramatically improve the balance of the 11. England had operated with just one seamer for the first 2 test matches along with 4 spinners, including Joe Root, and dropped Shoaib Bashir to have James Anderson and Mark Wood in the 11 for the last test. Moving on now. That time for us to slip into a short break, but we are counting down to the big event that News 9 is organizing this coming weekend. The News 9 Global Summit is about the new India that is recognized as a rising economic power and a major global player. The theme of the summit is how India is poised for the next big leap. The What India Thinks Today Summit is being organized by the TV9 Group. And this edition of the summit is unmissable because the keynote address is by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So, What India Thinks Today Summit, it's on February 25th, 26th and 27th. Okay, talking about football now, and Lionel Messi has finally spoken about missing matches on Inter Miami's tour of Saudi Arabia, Hong Kong and China. He dismissed the talk about missing the matches in Hong Kong and China for political reasons. Messi said he wanted to play but couldn't, as he felt discomfort and feared it would get worse.
Hello everyone, I've read and heard many things that have been said after the game in Hong Kong. I wanted to record this video and give you the true version so no one has to continue reading false stories. As you all know, I always want to play and be involved in every game. I've heard people say that I didn't want to play for political reasons and many other reasons that are totally untrue. Had that been the case, I wouldn't have even traveled to Japan or visited China as many times as I have. Since the start of my career, I've had a very close and special relationship with China. I've done lots of things in China, interviews, games and events. I've also been there and played many times for FC Barcelona and the national team. As I said in the press conference, I had an inflamed adductor and I couldn't play in the first game in Saudi Arabia, which is when I felt it in the second game in Saudi Arabia. I tried to play for a bit, but it got worse. Then on the day before the match in Hong Kong, I tried to train and made an effort for all those who'd come to watch training. I did all I could. I also went along to the football clinic with all the kids. But I really couldn't play. I felt discomfort and there was a risk it'd get worse. It felt a bit better a few days later, and that's why I played a bit in Japan to prepare fitness-wise for everything to come, because I needed to play and get back up to speed. I'd already said all of this, but now I think it is important to say it again after everything that's been said. As always, I send good wishes to everyone in China who I have always had and continue to have special affection for. I hope to see you again soon. A big hug and take care. Ciao.
Manchester City head into Tuesday's Premier League clash against Brentford, 4 points adrift of leaders Liverpool, but manager Pep Guardiola believes his side do not feel any extra pressure as the title race intensifies. Manchester City, unbeaten in their last 9 league matches, are third in the standings with 53 points, 4 behind leaders Liverpool and 2 adrift of Arsenal, but with a game in hand. After missing the chance to go top of the table following their 1-all home draw against Chelsea on Saturday, City can now climb to second with victory over 14th place Brentford, who handed them their last home defeat in November 2022. When asked if treble winner City are under pressure, manager Pep Guardiola was quick to discard any notion of being under the pressure to win.
When we won the games, the next game we have the same pressure than tomorrow to do it. The last 50 games we won 13 and we draw 2. And the 2 we draw, we play to win the game. The pressure is the same, no difference. But I know the standards that we have, that we create to be there for what we have done in the past. And I understand completely the doubts for the people, but what I'm seeing, I'm more than satisfied. So at the end, I'll give credit to Chelsea what created problems, not just because in some actions we were not good, but it's happened. But in general, when you analyze the game, in general, so we were more than decent, but I know our standards.
While there are a lot of expectations given their success, Guardiola said City's focus remains on the pitch.
I had bad experience in my previous club, especially in Barcelona. Absolutely.
How do you deal with that or balance with the internal perception?
It's an honor. Go for it. But that will not be no effect for we know. So what it is, and we have to continue doing what we try. But it's normal. I knew it.
Guardiola insisted he was more than happy with his team's performances this season and that City continue to remain in the title race.
But yeah, you have the opportunity to climb to the second position, to go 1 point in front of Arsenal, to be just close to the Liverpool, and still a lot of games to play. But the reality is, since we lost against Aston Villa, we didn't lose one game, and the games we draw, we were better. We not the result, it's okay, we draw. But 95 minutes, which team were better against Crystal Palace and Chelsea? We were better. And the games we won, we were better? Yeah, we were better. So this is my point. We're going to win the Premier League. I don't know. I said many times, next 10 years, we're going to win the Premier League, Man City. No, it's not going to happen. So, but still we are there. And this is where I continue.
City will be without winger Jack Grealish and defender Josko Guardiola, who are both injured for this game. Sweden's Sara Sjöström claimed her third straight 50-meter freestyle World Championship gold in Doha on Sunday, ahead of second-place Kate Douglas of the United States and Poland's Katarzyna Wosik in the third position. Just 1 day removed from extending her 50-meter butterfly reign to a record 6 title in succession, the world record holder showed she will be the woman to beat for the Olympic 50-meter freestyle gold by rocketing to the title with a blazing time of 23.69 seconds, the fourth fastest in history. Ireland, meanwhile, hailed a new distance champion in Daniel Wiffen, who obliterated the field for the 1500 freestyle gold days after winning the country's first world title in 800 meters. Wiffen, he posted a time of 14.34.07, finishing more than 10 seconds clear of German runner-up Florian Wellbrock, and was later presented with the Best Male Swimmer trophy in the closing ceremony. And there is also Claire Curzon received the Best Female Award for her clean sweep of the 50-meter, 100-meter and 200-meter backstroke events, becoming only the second woman to win all 3 titles at the same Worlds, in addition to a 100-meter butterfly silver. Now, every 5th athlete in Cuba is a boxer. The republic, with 78 Olympic medals, stands only behind the USA in boxing. This report finds out what makes the home of Che Guevara and Fidel Castro stand out in the sport. Goodbye.
This small town on the outskirts of Havana has quietly been producing the best boxers in the world for decades. Since 1972, spurred by former leader Fidel Castro's passion and investment in the sport, Cuban fighters have taken 41 Olympic gold medals, 19 silver and 18 bronze. The awe-inspiring haul remains unmatched by any other country other than the much larger and wealthier United States. For decades, Cubans have faced shortages of food, medicines, and fuel essentials for any decent training program. Yet, despite the shortfalls, in some ways worse today than almost any other time since Castro's revolution took hold in 1959, Cuba's boxers keep winning. Two-time Olympic champion Julio La Cruz, 34, sweating profusely following a training session, smiles coyly on the question about Cuba's secret to success. This El Valle facility consists of single-story buildings housing multiple training rings, a trophy museum, basketball courts, simple concrete block dorms, and even small banana plant to help feed the in-residence athletes. But the La Finca, as the National Boxing School is known, is more notable for what it lacks. There is little sophisticated equipment, no cutting-edge computer monitoring, no hydro massage to finish the day, as may be typical in high-end competition and training venues in Europe or the United States. In addition to spending hours in the gym, the boxers complete their preparation with improvised conditioning, hitting truck tires, homemade sandbags, and ropes used to pull trucks out of ditches.